right, well, welcome back everybody. Sorry it's been so long. Got a lot of stuff going on in the background. I'm working a full-time job and raising a family and doing the dad and husband stuff really takes up a lot of the time. So again, I apologize for not putting out videos as fast as I wish I could, but life is what it is. So first things first, let's go ahead and pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. In Jesus' name, amen. So, a couple of updates. I have been able to go out fishing a couple of times, but I don't really have a good way to film the on-the-water content yet. The phone works great for, tabletop and unboxing stuff, which is what we're going to do today, but out on the water, it doesn't seem to, out on the water, I really don't have a good camera setup to film the on the water stuff. I bought another camera to film my son's sporting events, but on the water stuff, it doesn't really track very well. The camera angle is a little weird, and I just can't get it set up correctly to film good on the water content. So I got a couple of ones lined up that I want to go ahead and try, but until I decide to actually pull the trigger and get one, we're gonna have to just stick with these unboxings for now. So like I said, I had been out fishing 3 or 4 times already, and I've caught fish every time. One of the times was just from a dock because I wanted to try out those big baits, and 7 1/4 inch trace in that bone color. I picked up a 3-pounder and a 3.5 pounder. I'll try to edit some pictures of those 2 fish into the video. I'm not very good at it, so we'll see what happens there. The other thing, actually, I won a contest that was from another YouTube channel, Ant Fishing. I'll go ahead, I'll link his channel below too. He's a really good, he's an up-and-coming creator also. I think he might be right around that 2,000 subscriber mark. So if you guys wanted to go give him a follow from this channel, that would be great. I don't know, make a comment on one of his videos saying that you found his channel through me. That might kind of get some of his subscribers to jump the bridge and come to my channel also, so that would be cool to see. But he had put together a giveaway on his channel, put together a few baits from 6 Cents, and that's probably something that I'll do in the future too. Once I get a few more subscribers and stuff, maybe when I start knocking on the door of 1,000, I'll do a pretty decent giveaway for 1,000 subscribers. What else I got? I got a couple of questions for you guys. These unboxings are cool and all for me because I'm a bait, kind of a bait nerd. I am pretty biased when it comes to my brand though. I primarily fish only 6 Cent stuff. I believe in their company. I think they're down to earth, family owned and operated and stuff. It rings all of the bells that I like for my content or my products. So, but what I was thinking is, what do you guys want to see for other content? I was thinking about maybe doing, adding like a verse of the day type of thing through my Bible app, and then trying to discuss how I feel about that particular verse of the day. Maybe put in some Bible readings. I don't really read the Bible well because it's hard to read. Generally, when I've gone through the Bible, it's always, I've listened to it. I haven't, well, let me back up a second. I have read it, but I was also listening to it at the same time. So I don't know if that's something that you guys want to see. We can do maybe a series, once or twice a week. We read a couple of verses or maybe even a chapter. Add that to the content a little bit. Let me know if that's something that you guys want to hear or see going forward on the channel. The idea that popped into my head is actually creating a second channel, more of a personal channel, instead of the Bible study, God-focused stuff. I'm actually thinking about doing this content creation thing full-time, but I need to start to make money first, kind of. God has put me into a position to where I'm pretty well off, not well off. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in the bank, but because of what I did when I was in the service, it's put me into a position to where I don't necessarily have to work. I work to set the example for the kids and stuff. They don't want to see dad sitting around doing nothing and just being a bum. So I work to set the example, but I'm really getting tired of the way that society is as a whole, and I want to start to be able to work from home. Content creation, video, getting on the boat when I can and fishing and posting it here is something that I I really want to do. So what I was thinking is doing a second channel that was primarily for myself. I play a lot of video games in the background, but maybe starting a second channel to stream that. Hop online first thing in the morning, stream for a few hours. Hopefully everybody comes in and does their thing, and just, you know, do that way. Not really sure what to do there, but I think that would be something that could kind of fill the gap with the fishing content. I could do that, wake up in the morning, play video games for a couple of hours or whatever, go out fishing, do some content there, and then what I can't do at the end of all of this is edit. I am still in dire need of an editor. I don't have the skill. The only thing that I'm working on is my phone. It's very cumbersome. I don't understand the software, the technology. It doesn't work well for me. So if anybody out there, anybody that sees this, if you know or are an editor, I'm willing to, you know, work with you through email or whatever to try to get the content into a package and then ship it, and then you can, or not ship it, email it, or however that works nowadays. And then you can edit it, send it back. I can, yep, that's good to go, and then post it, or, you know, we can go back and forth if there's any tweaks that I want you to make. That's what I'm really looking for, is an editor. I don't have, like I said, I don't have the skills. I can't do it on my phone. I don't have a PC. I don't have the software. I don't have any of that. So if anybody knows an editor that is willing to work with me, and for now and until something comes up, it's going to have to be for free. I'm looking for a volunteer, really, to use their time, energy, effort, and resources to edit my videos for me. That would be fantastic. So without further ado, I got something off to the side here. I don't know if you can see this, but this was the big purchase. 6 Sense had a sale on their website where if you spend $100 on baits, you get 70% off a pair of their sunglasses. Waterland sunglasses is something that I've been using for a couple of years too. I will link their website below also. They are by far the best sunglasses that I've ever put on my face. A few years ago, I had bought a pair of them, put them on my face. I was like, holy moly, these are incredible. The wife was kind of jealous, so she needed a pair too, but we went out to Cabela's and bought her a pair of Costas instead, or Costas, or I don't know, potato. And I put hers on my face, and I'm like, yeah, these Waterlands are way better. So that's another brand there owned by Ben Milliken and the 6 Sense people also. So top quality product, top quality glass, top quality plastics, everything, good tint, super durable. I've dropped them 100 times. My dog got a hold of them, one of the first pairs I got, and it barely scratched the lens. They were still functional. They're great glasses. So I was able to pick up a pair of them for really, really, really cheap because I had bought a bunch of other stuff. But first, we got a couple of months of the 6-sack lined up again because I was waiting to receive that contest winning bundle that Amped Fishing had put together. I still haven't received that in the mail, so I got a couple of months behind on the 6-sack. So for those that are unfamiliar, this is 6 Sense version of the subscription sack. They put together a bundle of baits, ship it right to you. That's how you can build your tackle collection right from home without having to go out into the world and deal with society and public people. We don't want to do that. So I think this one, we're in May, so this is going to be March. Yeah, this is going to be March and April's 6-sack. Coincidentally, they both came in the same style sack, which they normally don't do. Usually they kind of change the color of the drawstring or the little emblem that they have on the front. They usually do different things there. So it's weird to have back-to-back months in the same sack. Or maybe that's something that they've changed and now the 6-sack's always going to come in the same sack. But let's go off and we'll dive off into this and see what we got. Strobe Shakers 3.3. I probably won't use these. This isn't a technique that I do. It's primarily used for forward-facing sonar, which is a technology that I don't have on the boat. So you put a jig head on the front of this, and you can see it on your forward-facing sonar. So you locate the fish, you cast it out there, and you try to put this bait right down in front of them. It's got a nice little wobble to it with that bill that's on the front of it. I'm not sure you guys can see that, but it's got this bill that's on the front of it that gives it a nice little wobble as it's coming through the water there. Moving on. Ooh, the Bodega, these are the new. So these are phenomenal creature bait, supposed to imitate a crawdad or crawfish, crayfish. Again, that's one of those potato situations. But these two little, they're so light in the water that as that thing gets down there, these things are just naturally kicking up there. Phenomenal color. What do they call this one? Blood apple. That's probably one of my favorite colors that 6th Sense makes in any of their baits. So again, really, this is more of a finesse bait with this, what is this one? The 3.5. So much lighter weight, go down to like a 3/16, a quarter ounce. And just barely move that along the bottom. Downsize your bait. Sometimes the bigger fish like to bite those smaller baits. Panorama 2.9. This is again a technique that I haven't used very much, but you can, these are actually the plumps. Nope, it does just say the regular swim bait, but the paddle tail on there makes me think that you're supposed to rig this vertical and run it like a regular swim bait. So just put it on a regular jig head and reel it back to you, cast it out along weed edges or rock piles, and then that thing will give you a nice little kick coming back to you, But really cool color on these two, super realistic, and actually you can actually see the sheen change from top to bottom on these baits. So 6th Sense, top quality colors all the time. 4K shad, can't go wrong with that. We technically don't have a shad member in the state of Maine, but it'll work just fine. I throw it in a lot of their other baits. A lot of my crankbaits and stuff are in that 4K shad color. Can't beat that. Moving on. Can't go wrong with this either. The black and blue or Black Magic swim jig. This one's technically the black and blue. Axle swim jig. What's different about these is that the hook actually swings. Right, so this is a big one too. Yeah, 6-aught hook, 1/2 ounce. So what happens is when that fish bites that, and as you set the hook with your line, it drives. So this gets out of the way and drives that hook right into the roof of the mouth, and it supposedly increases your hookup ratio. I haven't used these much, but from what I've seen from the other content creators online and the information that I gathered off of the 6th Sense website, they are top notch. A lot of the pros use them. So I guess if the pros use them, it must be good, right? Ooh, so that's the big brother. You would pair them to these. This is the Stroker Craw. This is one of the first soft plastic baits that I bought when I first stumbled onto 6th Sense. Again, just a cross style bait, black and blue. Pair these together, put this as a trailer. This is technically a swimming jig, but it doesn't really matter. You can still crawl that across the bottom off of rock piles or brush piles, down there on bottom in your sandy edge, rock, pebble, gravel, whatever. Pair these two together and you have a fish catching combination. What do we got here? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, and this is what I love about 6th Sense's 6-ack is they don't waste products, right? So, or you can rig this as a regular Texas rig, 3/16, 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce, whatever, how deep you're fishing. But they give you the hook to pair with them, right? So 3/0 extra wide gap stout hook. Pair these together. I don't know if you can see that over there. Pair these together as a regular Texas rig, and you'll be good to go also. So these juggle heads, I have some of them in the other packs, just a regular jig head, but I think they give you them to pair with either the strobe shaker or these panoramas. So again, put the bait on there, swim it back like a regular, just cast it out, reel it back, let the bait do the action, and you'll be good to go. Last but not least, this Quake 70. They have this in a couple of different sizes. They have the Quake 80, Quake 70, they have it in the Thud, and they have the Snatch, which is another lipless crankbait. These things are phenomenal in the springtime. We might be a little bit past the usability of lipless crankbait now. The water temperature's coming up, it's probably already in the low 60s. So I think now you're moving into your jigs and your Texas rigs along cover, because I think the bass are probably going to start to be moving up on beds. The top water stuff comes into play this time of season too. So, but still, the Quake 70, Works really well in cold water for me. So springtime, fall time, when the temperatures, when that water temperature gets back down into the 50s, lipless crankbaits work great. So that was March's sack. April, my birthday month, if anybody knows. So speaking of my birthday, my oldest daughter, Tori, had got me some new microphones for my birthday, but I seem to have misplaced those. I was going to try them out to see how the audio sounded, but I can't seem to find them. I used them on the boat one time one of the first times that I went out fishing with that new camera I got, but they weren't compatible with each other, so that turned out to be, that's why you guys haven't seen that footage, because it turned out to be not very good. I did catch a fish that day, first fish of the season, came on the Battle Baits spinnerbait in that bleeding shad color. Anyway, I digress. Got sidetracked there for a second. Yep, another lots of good stuff in this one, but we'll start with this one that I pulled out first. This is the Duke 55, so this is also very similar to the Quake 70 and that other sack. But this being in that chrome, what do they call this? Chrome blackback. You could use this right now, that shinier color as it is today. Sunny weather, high skies, bluebird, very not cloudy. That chrome is going to give off a whole bunch of flash, and the fish are going to be able to see that from forever away. Being a little smaller fits into matching the hatch because a lot of the bait fish that were just spawned, they're of course not very big. So that smaller size on that Duke 55 is going to be, that'll work right now. That'll work. What else we got? Ooh, the Flush 5.2. This is a soft plastic jerkbait. I know that sounds weird, but so what you do with this is you take another one of those, 3 or 4. You could actually probably get away with a 5/0 hook in these too. And what you do with these is you just fish them weightless. That's how I do it. Rig it weedless, hook comes up through the back. They got that split dorsal fin that's in there. So make sure your hook point comes up in the middle, and you just kind of dart this across the top, just barely subsurface, foot to 1.5 feet below. And you kind of work it. It's supposed to imitate a dead or dying or fleeing bait fish. And it just catches fish. I don't know how else to put it. Justin Royal's a really big fan of this. He loves these baits. He uses them for the, I don't know if he takes a little bit off it, but he uses them for the trailer on his chatterbaits or vibrating jigs. So that new jigsaw that just come out, he's been using that as his trailer. I prefer the juggle or the bongo crawl, but that's neither here nor there. So put that back in there. So I know that these clamshells to keep the bait straight so you don't get your tails all cattywampus and your baits are all bent. I love these clamshell style, whatever you call them. What else we got? Oh, the flip gill. Haven't even seen or touched or used these yet. These are a flipping style bait. So when you're in lily pads or just heavy weed, matted grass, that sort of stuff, you would just rig this on a heavy weight if you wanted to. It's got these tails that you can pull apart. So now those are going to be your kicker, but this has got more of a bait fish profile. So it's going to be a little bit different than your cross style profile, but you can actually just zip these topwater too. You get like another smaller profile topwater bait, and these will give you a little bit of extra action, but it's designed to be a flipping bait, pitching bait. Grass mats, heavyweight, 3/4 of an ounce and a half. Punch that weight down through that mat. This comes zipping by the fish. It's supposed to cause a reactionary strike. And from what I heard, it's if that happens, you better hold on to it because the fish have a tendency to be very aggressive during that bite. That's not a technique that I normally do because I haven't had the proper rod reel line set up for that technique. It does require some heavy stuff. I think now with that 7/8 extra heavy fast heater series rod, I should be able to try to do some heavy mat pinching. But it also required me to buy some weights. Again, in that last video, I mentioned that the state of Maine is requiring anything under the 1/2 ounce to be non-lead, or under an ounce rather, it needs to be non-lead. So I'm still trying to find some weights to replace it. What do we got here? Oh, there's some hooks. These are the Ox hooks. So these two are supposed to pair together, these Ox flipping hooks. Really stout wire, great bait keeper on these. So rig that in there, and then when you go to dry, you really have to yard on them with these. That stout hook, you got to get that penetrated. If you just kind of, then you're not going to get any penetration, because that is a very stout wire hook. When you swing on it with these, you got to swing on them, because if not, you'll never get that hook on, or it'll just barely be hooked and the fish will come off. Oh, here we go. So these two are actually supposed to go with the flush. These 5/0. Like I said, you probably get away with a 5/0. It might be a little bit more, you get some a little bit more weight, be able to cast a little further with these 5/0s, but I'd probably stick with a 4/0 EWG, extra wide gap, instead of the 5/0, but the 5/0 will work just fine. Again, 6 cents is smart. So this is it's one of my favorite. If you're a bass fisherman and you don't like a topwater bite, then I don't really think you can call yourself a bass fisherman. Bass hitting topwater is one of the most explosive things ever, and it gets that adrenaline rush. Then you feel the tug, you set the hook, and you hold on, because it's going to be a fight. So they give you the Scramble 106 is what they've given us this month, well, for the month of April anyway, in one of the best colors ever. So this is labeled as live bait, which is exactly what it looks like. So this is a perfect imitation of God's design for a bait fish. You got that kind of bone iridescent see-through belly, the strong lateral line that you can see the color change, and then that purple blue back up on the top. This is 6 Cents goes above and beyond when it comes to their color schemes. I don't know how they do it, or who they hired or what, but that bone on the belly there, and then rolling up to that regular purple kind of gold lateral line, and that blue on the back. This is a perfect imitation of anything that I have swimming in the water. Your smelts, your shiners, your threadfin, this could even imitate a baby crappie, or even a baby bass. This is absolutely a beautiful bait, beautiful color. I'll tie that on right now, go throw it. Put that back in the package here so we don't get stuck with these hooks. And they are super sharp too, these hooks. These 6 Cents baits are tournament ready right out of the box. A lot of these other baits, a lot of these other companies that I've tried, and a lot of these other baits that I have bought, it always seems that their hooks straighten out really easy, or their split rings will come undone, and the quality's not there for the price you pay, in my eyes anyway, in what I've seen. So I'm willing to pay, an extra $1 per crankbait, or an extra $1 per bait from 6 Cents, because I know I'm getting tournament ready quality right out of the box. I don't have to worry about anything. It's good stuff. And here's another worm, proudly made in the USA. I don't know if I've mentioned that before either, but like 95% of 6 Cents plastics are now poured stateside, right there in Texas. And so, look at this thing, huh? That is crazy. That plum color with the red and green. I don't know if there's blue flake in there too. My eyes are getting bad, I'm getting old. But smaller, fine green flake, and then the big chunkier red flake on top of that purple base. That's wild. You could use that as a jig trailer with a smaller profile. You could use just Texas rig that. You could actually probably even wacky rig that as a nice little morsel. Put your hook kind of back there and let that thing dangle. The too heavy bulbous. Look at that, right? And just rig it that way too. Yeah, these things that looks really cool. That small 3.8 bounce worm. 3.8. That's a smaller size. Just rig that with a 3/16, 1/4 ounce. Downsize your weights. Try to keep the most natural profile that you can get, in the natural presentation, I should say. Not profile. Profile is based on the bait, but you know what I'm saying. Bounce that around rock piles. That's gonna catch some fish. I'm gonna try that this weekend, I think. So those are the two 6 Sacks from March and April. Again, phenomenal value with what you get out of the sack. This bait almost by itself pays for your subscription. These are like $17. So there's 20. Oh, and that was in the same sack too. So these 3 baits right here out of that one sack pay for your subscription. So that means your bounce worms and your flip gill plus your hooks and your 5/0 hooks are all a bonus. They're all in addition to the value of your sack. So again, go check them out. Of course, I'll leave their website link below. I am a very strong believer. I'm hoping that someday somebody from that company will find this channel, find this video, and they'll pick me up as a sponsor. But until then, we'll keep chugging away. We'll keep counting our blessings. Every single day that God gives us is another one to be thankful for Him. So keep that in mind. I know sometimes stuff out there can get pretty hard, and people are mean. They say and do some stupid things. I just don't get it. And then when you call them out on their stupidity, then they get all upset and play the victim. I'm so tired with most of society, I tell you, it's crazy. So like I said, 6 Sense was having a sale. If you ordered $100 worth of stuff, then you get $70 or 70% off of their sunglasses, which I'm saving open for last because I haven't peeked at that. I did open the box because, like I said, I was waiting for that contest win from Amped Fishing, and I was going to bundle all of this stuff together with his stuff, and I couldn't wait anymore. So I opened up the box. I did put some of the stuff on the boat. I reloaded my tackle box. So this isn't all of the stuff that I had ordered. This is only a portion of, because I had to load the boat. I had to get my stuff in my tackle box, and I had to get that. I didn't have to, I guess. That might be the wrong word there. I wanted to get my tackle box reloaded because at the end of last year, I had taken a lot of stuff out and I did some rearranging because I knew that I was going to progress into a couple of different techniques, and I wanted to make some room in my tackle box for the stuff that I needed to put in there. So with that said, we'll burn right through these pretty quick. Some of these baits you've already seen in terms of what they are. Like, I know I've talked about the juggle before, and this is my primary vibrating jig and jig trailer. I just love the way, even on my regular jigs that I'm just bouncing around, when that tail is out there, it really does look like the tail of a bait fish that's down there feeding on bottom. And then when I'm on a vibrating jig or a swimming jig, the way that tail kicks, because the bait itself is so small and it's got that weighted bulbous ball on the tail there, when this thing catches water and as it's moving on the back of the jig, it just gives that secondary action better than anything else I've used. So this has quickly become my favorite jig trailer, whether it's a swimming jig, vibrating jig, or regular jig. But this could actually probably take over that new bounce worm, that 3.8, that smaller one, as my regular jig trailer, because I bet that's going to look phenomenal. It's a little bit more beefy too, so it'll give it a little bit more of a bigger profile and a little bit more material for that fish to suck in when it's trying to pick it off the bottom. So that's going to work very well. The other bait that I've tried out quite a bit as my trailer, because I've heard a lot of good things about it, is the Ozzie, O-Z-Z-I-E. I think technically they named it that because of the oscillation that you can get. This is supposed to be another forward-facing sonar bait, but it's coincidentally Ben Milliken, again, one of the people that owns 6 Sense, he has a child named Osborne, so I think this actually works as a dual meaning, kind of put Ozzie in the company. I don't know, could just be my brain too, but. So these are a little bit more tapered through the belly than that juggle is. That juggle, and it's a little bit smaller profile. And plus another one out so you can see them side by side here. So this one's is a little taller and this is the Ozzie here in my right hand. And as you can see, it is a little bit beefy. They're both 4 inches long, and this one has a little bit more of a taper to the belly, and that gives it that oscillation, that Ozzie, if you will. It also has a little bit more action in the tail because as you can see there, it's got a little indent here on the tail that allows this tail to swing a lot more than this one's still, because it's thinner, you know, you still get plenty of action out of that, but this one's got a slit specifically designed in it to give it that action that goes that way. Still got the slit in the top, so when you put it in that vibrating jig, you can expose it and slide it right in there. These two right here are my favorite vibrating jig trailer. I've been using, as you guys know, that Jigsaw just released, and I was using their Jigsaw trailer on the back of them, but I feel like it's actually a little too big for the bait. I think they should downsize that just a little bit. Maybe go to like a 4.5 inch or 4.2 instead of the 5. I think that 5 is a little too big. Don't get me wrong, you know, big profile on the back of a vibrating jig is fine. You know what I mean? You can still do it that way. Or maybe they should release, you know, a couple of different sizes for people that don't live in big fish areas. So the Aussie 4.0 and 4K bluegill. I got 3 packages of those. And then I think 4K sunfish on that juggle color. Again, I'll link all this stuff below, or at least the website. You guys can go on there. I'm not very good at linking individual products. Again, because I don't have a PC, it's hard to go back and forth, copy and paste into the description of the video. So I'm just gonna link the 6th Sense website. You guys can go on there and poke around. And I'm telling you, if you can't find it from 6th Sense, then you probably don't need to fish with it. They have everything from, you know, little itty bitty 3-inch rubber worms all the way out to 9. I think the biggest one is that 9-inch draw that they offer. So anything up from, I'm stumbling over my words because I'm getting excited. If you can't find it from 6th Sense, then you don't need to fish with it, okay? So another technique that I've been willing or wanting to try, and I'm willing to do it this summer when it gets hot, is Carolina rigs. I don't do a lot of that. Usually I just a regular Texas rig or a free rig and pitch it around dock pilings and laydowns and brush piles and rocks. But there are a couple of spots in my lake that I fish here and that have really long, sandy, kind of non-weedy, non-rocky, more of a gravel, just like beach areas that are on the edge, the inside edge of weeds. So the weeds are here, the sand is here, and then the shore is there. So what I was thinking about doing is getting my boat on the outside of that weed edge, casting a Carolina rig up against the shoreline and bringing that bait towards that, hoping that the fish will come out of those weeds and ambush it. Or turn it 90 degrees to it, cast it out into that sandy area again, and run that Carolina rig on the edge of those weeds on the sandy side of that weed edge. I don't know. Again, it's not anything that I've ever done, but the bait that I want to use, I have 2 that I want to use for that. One is the 6th Sense Hog Walla. That's got really wild, you know, a lot of tentacles and whatever the heck you want to call them that come off the side of the bait. And the other one I want to do is this one right here. So this is the Ridge Lizard. This is a offshoot of the Ridge Worm that they released a couple of years ago. And by couple, I don't really know how many. But the Ridge Worm has this flat tail that's got just a ridge down the middle of it. So, and it sits perpendicular to the actual bait. Same thing on that Ridge Worm, that you got the body of the worm that goes round this way, and then that tail sits vertical this way. So as that hits the bottom, right, that tail is just gonna flow up there, and then as you drag it, and then when you bring it up, that tail is gonna kick. Same concept here. So these have like paddles on the back of each of the arms of the lizard. So what's gonna happen there, water's gonna catch that, and these arms are just gonna, it's gonna look like that bait is crawling across the bottom. So for those of you that you don't know how a Carolina rig works, is this bait is going to be way back. I say way, but 2 feet or so. You have your weight way up here, and this bait is going to get a more natural presentation because the weight's not hooked right to the nose like on a jig or on a Texas rig. So the weight is going to be way up here. This bait's just going to be way more natural because it's not weighted down by the weight. So your weight's up here, 2 feet a liter or so, and then just you're hooking your bait back there, crawling around. And footage that I can see online from the people that fish it all the time, Carolina rig will work in certain situations. It's just that most of the fisheries that I fish, especially up, you know, in Maine anyway, they're just overgrown with weeds, and the weeds just choke everything out, and you can't really drag a Carolina rig through the weeds because the weeds are so tall. So you have to do the pitching and flipping setup or a jig or something like that in those situations, because Carolina rig isn't going to run right through. It's going to be, you're just going to get hung up on everything that's down in there. So 2 packs of those. This is in that peanut butter and jelly PB&J Pro. Works really good on my fisheries up here in Maine. That peanut butter and jelly color. I think it was the Zoom Lizard that I was using way back. They weren't very durable, but that peanut butter and jelly color was more of a darker brown instead of this motor oil color. And their purple was purple. It was more like that purple in that bounce worm than that lighter see-through iridescent purple on this one. Both great, but again, that flat ridge tail is going to do a lot better up here for me, I think. Moving on. Oh, hey, I got 4 packs of those Aussies. Bonus. Whales, the 4.0 whale. I rigged that by itself just on a weighted jig head, or a keel weighted hook, and I swim it all by itself. I don't use it as a trailer for anything. It's just a single swimmer. This one here is in the Fort Gill Flake. Regular green pumpkin body, so that greenish, I don't know if I call it watermelon, but it's that darker green color, black, gold, and green flake. It's just going to work because a lot of the forage that the bass and pike eat in my area are yellow perch, white perch, sunfish, green sunfish. So it's just a great imitator of anything that they're already eating, and it gets bit. These are probably the most boring. These are just the clout worm. I think this is one of the only baits that they're not pouring stateside. I don't know why they don't pour this one in America, but it is what it is. But this is my primary worm that I use for my wacky rig. So you put the hook in the middle like this. I fish it on 10-pound P-line fluorocarbon, and I just pitch this up against cover, and really subtle. You want to let this go to the bottom, give it a couple of pops, let it sink back down, give it a couple of pops. You're only fishing this 3 or 4 feet at a time. You could probably stretch it out to 10 feet depending on how long your brush pile or your laydown is. But for the most part, you don't do anything. It's a do nothing bait. Cast it out there, let it sink, give it a couple of pops, let it sink again. And that's what it's going to do as it sinks. And for some reason, the fish can't resist it. They come out there, they suck it in, you set the hook, and you get that fish in the boat as fast as you can. That way, because you don't want it to get you pulled back down into the cover that you're fishing around. 2 packs of those. What color was this? Watermelon red. Can't go wrong with any watermelon. That's more see-through than your regular green pumpkin. But yes, and the clout worm is phenomenal as a wacky rig, or even you can bite it down and use it as a jig trailer. The versatility and all the 6th Sense stuff is phenomenal. So this is where all the money is. I got a bunch of hard baits. They were all on sale because I took advantage of the sale. But I got some PD10s. This is the Precious series. I talked about this in the last video too. These are a little bit different than your regular style crankbaits. They are, I'm just gonna throw that. They're shaped different, they sound different, they look different, not really, they don't really look different, but they definitely sound different and they move different than your regular square bill crankbaits. I got the PD10, this, I got a bunch of the different colors there. 2, 2, 2, and then some PD16s. So because this year I'm gonna try to crank at different levels, I had to buy a couple of different sizes. I have some downstairs already. I have the PD4, so that's my shallow crankbait. I have my PD7, I think I have 1 or 2 down there. So that's my mid diver between like 4 and 8 feet. The PD10 here, this goes between 8 and 10 feet. And I don't want to open them because I want to keep them in the package like this when I'm storing them on my boat. So when I go to use them, I'll break them out of the package. I'll tell you the colors and I'll show them to you the best I can, but I don't want to open them up just because I don't have a place to store them right now. I'm going to hang them down on my wall until I need to put them on the boat. So I don't want to open them. So this is matte natural. I do want to open it. So this one here is it's got a flat finish to it. Most of your other crankbaits and everything, they have a shiny kind of clear coat to them right from the factory. So that gives a little bit more of a shine. And so what I was thinking, and I think what 6th Sense has done a phenomenal job at, are their matte finish baits. So I think coming through the water, just because once it gets wet, it doesn't look flat like this. So what this, I think, does, gives it a more natural presentation when it comes to color coming through the water. That matte natural right there is probably my favorite color when it comes to a crankbait. There's one other one, I think they call it Gill Candy or something like that I've had a ton of luck on, which is a super confidence color. But this right here, this matte natural, if I could get all of my baits in just one color, like if 6th Sense had said, hey, you can choose, you can buy all of our baits in all of their sizes and shapes and colors, but no, obviously not colors because this is where the thing is going, but you can only choose one color. I would probably choose this one. My second choice would be that 4K Shad. That does a phenomenal color. I got super high confidence in that too. So this is that matte natural, and this is in that, ooh, listen to that. That's another thing too. You can feel that weight transfer system that's in there. Hooks again, stupid sharp, but these things are great. Loud clacker, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So I got 2 of those in that matte natural. I got 2 in the that 4K Shad, I think, and then 2, I think they call it. Let me verify before I start laughing out loud. No, so this is the Heater Shad. You know, shout out to Justin Royal again, big fan of that guy. Follower of God, you know, very vocal about his, I would follow his Instagram. I don't know if I can link his Instagram page in my description or not, but I'll at least link his YouTube channel. And again, if you go and you follow him and you happen to get to his page from my page, leave a comment on one of himself and tell him one of his videos and say, you know, hey, Fins in Faith led me here, you know, good on you. So, but Heater Shad, that's Justin Roy's signature color from 6th Sense. He worked with Casey Sobsack and the people over there at 6th Sense to come out with a signature color for him and his page. So that's that one. And yep, and this one here, it makes me laugh because I'm sure it'll make you laugh too. So this is called Brown Eye Pressure PD10. And in the other ones, it's called the Brown Eye Special. So because we're all kind of messed up in the head a little bit, that should make you giggle. And that's that. Then I got some big ones. So these are the PD16. Again, big baits. This is something that I've been trying this year. Pressure series. This goes 13 to 16 feet. So what I'm going to try to do with this is I'm going to try to get into situations where that water is 15 to 18 feet deep, which I'll have to guess because I don't have any electronics on my boat. And then I want this to run down to just barely tick off the top of those weeds that are down there at between 13 and 15 feet. The water itself is going to be, you know, 18 to 20 feet, but once that grass starts to grow up a little bit, I want this to get down and just kind of tick across the top, and you know, it's going to catch it from time to time. I know it is, just because that's the nature of the bait. But I want to get down there close to that grass as I can, so that way the bass or the pike or whatever can come out of there and ambush this bait, and they don't have to go, you know, a mile to go get it. Because once that water temperature starts to come up, the fish don't want to chase baits down. It's hot for them, it's hot for us. They don't want to move too much, so they get down in there, they hunker under cover, they sit in the shade, and they ambush, you know, within 3 to 5 feet. That's why your casting accuracy really matters, because if you're not casting it right up against the edge of that stuff, the bass ain't gonna come out there and get it. If you've missed your cast, if the bass is in that laydown or that brush pile and you miss your cast by 6 feet, that fish isn't gonna come out there and get it. if you put your cast 2 feet from that brush pile and take the chance that you don't get snagged, you could hook into the fish of your lifetime. So keep that in mind. The casting accuracy matters. It doesn't, that's something that I've learned over the past few years, is that if you're 4 feet off of that tree, you're not going to catch it. If you're 2 feet off of that tree, you're probably going to come out and eat it. So you really got to get in there tight to those things, because once that water gets hot, they're not going to want to come out and chase it. Okay, so this is the star of the show. This right here is Waterland Fishing Optics. I'll link their stuff below too, waterlandfishingco.com. So the one that I have now is a polymer plastic lens with some, I don't know the lens technology, but there's different layers to that. So you can put different layer colored plastics in between there that gives you your polarization. And then depending on the color of the plastics and the different tints that you put in there, makes certain colors pop. That's how you get to see better. That's why when you put on anything that's like gold mirrored, your greens pop a lot more. I don't know if anybody, like if you've ever worn just regular yellow safety glasses outside, look at your trees. They're gonna be way brighter than, you know, just a regular pair of sunglasses. But the other difference too is your glass versus your plastic. So this is actually going to be my first pair of polarized sunglasses that have mineral glass lens. This is supposed to be way higher quality in terms of how much it allows you to see into the water, how much glare it takes off the top, which of course is going to allow you to see further into the water. So because of how this worked out, these sunglasses are normally like, don't quote me on this, but you can go to their website and verify. I want to say these Waterland mineral glass lenses are like $299. But because of the sale that they had going on and I spent the money that I did, I was able to get all of this stuff for $204. So it really was a phenomenal deal, because I never would have been, I couldn't have justified paying $300 for a pair of sunglasses, just because I just can't justify it. That seems like I don't care what company it is, $300 for a pair of sunglasses seems very high. And I say that without even putting them on my face. You know, I could put these on my face and I could go use them, and then I'd be like, yep, these absolutely are worth $300, but I won't know until I wear them. So this is my first look at them. Everything's still in the plastic. I haven't taken them out, haven't seen them, haven't run them, haven't nothing. I did get them in the blue mirror. I don't even think they're mirrored, but that blue tint, that's what they recommended as being a overall. Some of them, depending on your sun, if it's sunny out, you want a different colored lens. If it's cloudy out, you want a different colored lens. The blue and the green were more of an overall, the situation didn't matter. They're going to give you some sort of polarization and some more depth into your water. I got him in the Milliken frame because supposedly he has a really big head and I have a giant head too. So I thought that they would go ahead and fit me just fine. They look phenomenal. You know, this are the glass, really cool. Oh yeah, those are nice. Those are great. They actually feel lighter than my other ones. So I don't know how they did that with putting actual glass in there. But super high quality, I tell you that. Not made in America, which is fine. You know, it's made in Taiwan, so I guess it's better than China, right? Anyway, but nope, these are great. These are, yep, they hug really well. There's straight ear on the back of them. That's something I prefer too. So when I'm wearing a hat, this portion here will sit underneath the hat better. I feel like when they're rounded and they come down around the back of the ear, the height here messes with my hat. But being straight edged like that, that's gonna slide in underneath my hat just fine. So can't wait to get on the water with these and see how much better they are, if at all, than that other pair of sunglasses I got. And I think that's gonna do it. That's all I got for now. I am gonna try to do a better job of getting these out more frequently. Again, I get a 6-sack every month. I think actually, what's the date today? The 22nd. Mine for the month of May might have actually shown up today. So that is something that I was going to use as, regular monthly content, was that 6-ack, and I haven't done a very good job at it, but still getting used to this stuff, still trying to put together the pieces for getting regular on the water footage for you guys too. So bear with me, stay with me. Let's go ahead and do this together. So I'll do the regular YouTube thing too. So make sure if you've watched it this far, because I'm sure it's a long one already, give the video a like for me. Do a couple comments. Give me ideas on yes or no for that other YouTube channel. Give me some ideas for just either unboxing stuff or stuff that you want to see on the channel. Make a comment on whether or not we should do some Bible study here, Bible readings, or dive into depth or just have a conversation. I've also been thinking about doing a couple of live feeds, so if anybody had any questions about the Bible, they could just jump into the live feed, ask a couple of stuff. I'm not a Bible scholar by any means. I don't claim to be the most I'm not a Bible scholar. I guess I'll just leave it at that. But I can give you my 2 cents, and then we can go back and forth and maybe discuss on whether or not that aligns with biblical idea or structure or whatnot. But so that's going to do it. Again, I appreciate everybody watching this far. But if you have watched this far, give it a like, subscribe. And then share it. That's the big thing too. So you can share this link about my page or this video to any of your other social media accounts. So it doesn't matter if you only watch me to watch me here, that's fine. Copy the link, share it to your Instagram page, share it to your Facebook page. Let's really help grow and spread the word of Jesus Christ. Again, that's the point of this channel. That's why I start with a prayer every time. So let's get the word of Jesus Christ out there. Let's draw some people to God. All right. So God bless. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.